Hey everybody, hope you're doing well this fine morning. It's Tuesday, which is when we get new comics in. But man, I want to share some stories here on the YouTube channel. I know a lot of people have been talking about it and been subscribing, so I just want to put something out there. I guess what I want to start with, is my comic collecting when I started. So when I was a kid, I was about 4 or 5 years old, and I just started picking up comics. It stemmed from maybe watching the Batman 66 TV show, but just loved comics. I loved looking at it and the artwork, the colorful costumes. I was a big Spider-Man fan, man. Of course you are. You're a kid. You see the red costume with the black. He does the webs. It's really cool. So basically, I started collecting just little books. We would go to the PX on Fort Bragg. If you don't know what Fort Bragg is, it's one of the biggest military installations here in the United States. The store is located right outside, so I grew up here, basically. So, as I said, I was looking at these comics. I didn't read, I just looked at them. And I remember we'd go to church on Sundays, and I make a joke about this. We'd go to church on Sundays, my mom would give me a quarter, my dad would give me a quarter. They were supposed to go into the pot. So, actually it was a quarter, remember, it was 50 cents. So they each give me 50 cents. I would end up putting 50 cents in the pot, then we would go to the PX, and I would use the other 50 cents to buy comics. After a while, my parents were like looking at each other going, where do you get this money? And so they kind of figured it out. So they actually started buying the comics, and that's how I started collecting. And I read all this kind of stuff. I was just an avid, just like the superheroes. I liked the costumes. Like I said, I ended up liking people like Spider-Man. I liked Iron Man because of the costume. I liked Captain America because he looked really cool. I loved the Vision with that green, with that yellow. I know it's funky, but it's there. Then you have Hulk, green with purple pants. It's something Stan Lee and them did. They just basically, him and Jack Kirby put these color schemes together to basically bring everybody into looking at the comic books and the heroes. And then I remember seeing, who was it? Hawkeye. Hawkeye was a really cool looking character. But those were the characters. I wasn't a big Avengers fan. I liked the single guys in the single characters in the groups. Kind of like Johnny Storm and Human Torch. I loved the characters, just wasn't a big fan of team books. And even to this day, I'm really not. But that all changed one time when my friend Leroy Barker, that's right, his name is Leroy, showed me this book. It was called The X-Men. I was like, what is this? He said, man, you need to take a look at this. So he hands me this book, and I remember it till this day. It's Uncanny X-Men number 127, The Power of Proteus. It's beautiful. It's got a pink cover. I actually got one now in my collection, signed by Chris Claremont, just to say I've got that book. This is what changed me into a collector, as well as just someone who is reading. So I opened up the book, and I see this character, Wolverine. I was like, man, this guy's cool. And I remember Cyclops, who was the leader. They take a beating from Cyclops. I'm sorry, from Proteus. And Cyclops looked and said, "Hey man, we got to get this. He looked around the team. They're all shaking up. He's like, I got to get this team back in shape, especially this little guy here. If not, he wants to lead the team one day. He's got, like, I guess at the time, PTSD. And so he was shaking, drinking coffee. So he decided to kind of pick on Wolverine. Well, of course, Wolverine, being who he is, kind of like pushed back. And next thing you know, Cyclops is fighting Wolverine. And then the rest of the X-Men are fighting Cyclops along with Wolverine because they're all shaken up. And he basically, Cyclops, pretty badass. He pretty much takes down the whole X-Men. It's pretty cool, except when it got to that point, the climax, Jean Grey, also known as Marvel Girl, she, does her little mind-reading ability, and he basically tells her, I'm just doing it to get them back in shape. And so she tells them all to stop. That was it. It was awesome. I was like, man, this guy Wolverine with the claws, he's really cool. So after that, me and my friend Leroy, we started to go ahead and get back a little bit into collecting. And so we go up to the little gas station up in the corner on Riley Road called the Fina, and there's a rack there. So we go up to the rack, and man, I start turning the racks, and all of a sudden, he finds a copy of Wolverine number 1 by Frank Miller and Chris Claremont, with him sitting there with his claws, with the fingers going like this. Beautiful cover, my favorite cover of all time. And I was like, oh man, I need one. So I keep looking, turning the racks, and all of a sudden, I start pulling Wolverine. So I bought that book, he bought that book, and pretty much from there is where my collecting started. And then after that, we continued to go there in the food line, and then one day, someone had mentioned a place in the flea market, which it's in the same area now, is where the Dragons Lair is now, and it was a flea market store called the Dragons Lair, and we went up there every Friday. We would leave school, we'd walk, but first it was Saturday, so we'd come up here on Saturdays, ride our bikes up here, and then it became walking from school on Fridays, and then picking up books, going home, coming back Saturday. So me and my friend Leroy, we spent all the time up here at the Dragons Lair in the flea market, where there was another place in the flea market that sold comics as well. So that's my story. That's what I'm sticking with. That's actually what happened, and that's how I got into comics. So that's it for now. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day. If you can, go ahead and subscribe to us. Again, we're going to be doing a lot more different things. If you have any suggestions, hit up us on Facebook, which is Dragons Lair Fayetteville. Send us a message. And like I said, it's not going to be pretty right now. We're just getting started. We're going to be doing a lot of different things. So we'll talk to you soon. Subscribe. We'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.